Hello, my ghosties. I am Phantom Enchantress, and I am coming to you live yet again. And I'm so excited that I'm able to be live again because I need to find out more regular times in which I can be live. But eventually, that'll get. I'm getting there. I'm finding the balance. I'm struggling with it, but aren't we all? We are all struggling to find balance between our emotions and our logic, between science, between faith, between our belief, and between the chaotic world in which we live in. And it's hard to remember, but there are entities that are looking out for us, that are watching over us, and some of them are souls of those that have passed on. Some are souls of, well, of animals that have passed on. Others are simply just spirits that are passing through, whether it be angels or demons or whatever. I've encountered them all, and but I am here to welcome a new family member. I'm very excited. I got his permission. I said, I'm gonna go live, and the first thing that he said, well, is it with you? And I said, yes. And so, he is clean. And this here is Louie. Louie is the spirit of I believe, the spirit of a monkey that was raised within a lab. Which, I don't believe in animal cruelty. I don't believe, I believe animals should be free if they're able. I don't have anything against the captivity, but I think there should be a lot less of that, because it is kind of disrupting the ecosystem a little bit. But I think it's within us that we all potentially all of us want to save animals, and we want to protect them, because we've done a lot of things that have exploited them. We've done a lot of things that have harmed them. And I was watching a series on Max, what was known as HBO Max, and it was called Chimp Crazy. And one of the things that at first I thought, this is just going to upset me too much. But it turned out, it was very riveting. It was a very interesting story, and I loved the way that they presented it. And it was done by the producers who did Tiger King. And it's reality TV, but it's set up like a documentary. And I watched it, and I was just very touched. And it moved me. And I can say that I don't usually cry about such things. I don't cry heavily about things, because I want to be tough. I want to be a the tough witch that I am. But I think we all need to know that emotional vulnerability is a strength. And when we say vulnerability, it's usually seen as being very negative, because that exposes you. You think of exposure. You think of being, opening your heart, and therefore letting in, criticism and that kind of thing. But the way I see it is, when you are emotionally vulnerable with anyone, it takes a lot of confidence and takes a lot of courage to do that, because you're not opening your chest and pulling out your heart. You're literally telling people what your soul is experiencing. You're telling people what's on your mind, and what you believe and what's in your soul is sacred. Keep it. because we live in a day and age where everything is recorded, everything is told to the world. There's no privacy anymore because of technology. There's nothing sacred. We have forgotten the boundaries, the lines in which that have divided us. You know, we used to have this kind of mentality that, you know, it's not our business, let's stay out of it. But now we're discovering, we don't know that. You know, we don't understand that concept anymore. The children that are being raised right now do not have that concept of, maybe I shouldn't, you know, reveal my whole life story to to strangers on the internet. And some of them have common sense. I'm not saying that they don't, but it seems to me that the sacredness of our being has been violated quite a bit through technology. And but it's how you use it that counts. It's just like anything. It's like anything. You get a good intention and you get a good person using technology. I hope I'm one of those people. And they do it for good. It feels good, you know, because it does feel good. It feels really good. But when you get someone that's hateful and suddenly has a cause, they didn't have one before, but the internet gives you a cause. It always does. Internet always somehow gives you enough information, just enough for you to take off in full, you know, in warp speed. And it gives you just enough to make something of yourself. I mean, nowadays, to be famous, all it takes is really just knowing how the algorithm works. It's just knowing the right people, or it is so easy. And we marvel at these people. We marvel at people. We're like, oh my goodness, they are driving a fancy car, and they look like this, and they look like that, and they look amazing. And then you're realizing, oh, all they did was upload a video. All they did was show up to work that day. All they did was, you know, a friend of them said, hey, go to the studio. Go record the song, or go play that role, or they sometimes have just stumbled into it. And you have to remember, celebrities are just people. They're just people that have stumbled upon or have pursued a certain career, and things worked out for them. Things can work out for you as well. If you look for them, you can find them. And it's just a matter of looking, and it's a matter of looking for those opportunities. And it's also, you know, some of I believe that some of our, the things that we do in our life, it may be, perhaps they are predestined. I think, I am open to the idea that some of our lives are predestined, but I also am under the belief that some of it is completely random, and some of it has to do with our influence and the decisions that we make. And I am a firm believer that we can make our own destiny, and we can, I mean, we may not have enacted or created the life as we know it, or the fact that we exist, but we can manipulate how, you know, where our paths go. And I think we don't understand how absolutely powerful we are. And when it comes to words, words are powerful, okay? Don't let anybody tell you words are words, okay? I always have disagreed with actions speak louder than words. Actions do not always reflect what you're trying to do. They do not. They do not reflect what you're trying to do. At times, they reflect the exact opposite. And the reason I disagree with this is because I often would do things for people, wonderful things. I'd sacrifice. I would make. I would go all out for someone, and then come to find. And then come to find. You know, and I would mess up like one time, and they would say, "Yeah, you know, and it was a mistake. It was a mistake or a careless error, or maybe I left something behind while I was cleaning. And that one mistake would be brought up out of millions of good things that I had done that day, and or that whole entire week or the month, and just that one thing. And they say, and they would accuse me of not wanting to do it correctly. I do realize that this is not typical. This is an abusive, I was in an abusive situation. I understand that. We've all come from abusive childhoods. I went to Goodwill today, and I was saying something about trauma, and she asked, "Trauma, where?" And I said, "He's over there." He says, "Let's go get them." It's like, and I proceeded to, run out the door of Goodwill. And I made a friend, and made several friends. I think I make friends because just my overall energy. But it was nice, and I do love Goodwill. Goodwill is very good to me. It's very good to me. But definitely with that. Okay, let us see. I know. I don't understand this. Like, it should just show up as my life. You know what I mean? It should just show up. It should just say it. But no. It has to make me work for it. I don't know why the YouTube is like this, but it is. Okay, now I can see the chat. Yeah, I should have worried about that beforehand, but that's not how ADHD works. I either do a million things at once, or I do one thing really, really well. I can do millions of things at once really horribly, and then do one good thing, like, all day. Yeah. I remember talking to this woman. This was at a church, by the way. So I was at a church. Christian, of course. Don't need to say which one, because I don't want to get into heavy political or religious discussions, but she was hefty, okay? I'm trying to be politically correct here. She was plus size. How's that? And I liked her. She had a wonderful energy, and I saw past everything. And she said to me, she said, "You are so nice. Like, nobody talks to me." And I was like, "Why?" "Because I'm fat." Okay. And the thing is, I was raised I was raised with a lot of fat phobia, okay? Like, I was. But I kind of went above it because I liked her energy. I wasn't worrying about, like, when I first saw her, the first thing I know was, to me, a person is a person, okay? I don't care about the numbers. I don't care about the measurements of a person, because that doesn't measure. Numbers and measurements do not weigh the soul of a person, okay? And they do not measure how good someone is. What I go by is by energy. And she told me she had ADHD, and she said, "You don't understand. People think that when you're ADHD, that, you're skinny and active and you can't sit still." And they don't understand the other side of it. And I was like, okay, tell me more. And the other thing that she said was, they don't understand that part of ADHD is struggling to do things, I don't know about you, but I did something today. Like, I adulted today. I made a few phone calls, but when I was done with it, I was just like, it took a lot out of me. It did. I made like 2 phone calls, and I can tell you my mental energy had drained my physical energy at that point. Have you done that? Have you done something and decided to adult and decided to do one thing and that just was it? That was it. I'm a healthy person. I don't think there's anything wrong with me physically. As far as mentally, I'm still waiting for the results for that one. No, I'm joking. But you know, and then I kind of just it sparked me. I said, yeah, it's not everybody's like Jim Carrey, right? With the talking, with not everybody that's with ADHD is Ace Ventura. Alrighty then, they're not like that. I can tell you some of the ADHD is actually where you're just sitting there staring at something on the wall because it's uneven, and you do that for like 2 hours. I remember distinctly being being near, I think it was a mental health counselor, and just staring at the wall because it was uneven. It was like, it doesn't match up. That's driving me crazy. And I just would sit there and stare. And it looks like freaking tweaker behavior. It really does. It looks like you're getting off of drugs. You're like, oh, you're looking at that one thing. And sometimes that part of ADHD is looking like you're in comatose. Looking like you are, like, you will freeze up. And I've had people in my family, I've had people who are friends with, and yeah, the other part is all over the place, okay? It's very much like bipolar. Like, the similarities are wild, Somebody could give you the same symptoms for ADHD, and then if you, I don't know, like, if this checks out as far as Google, but I can tell you that if somebody gave you the symptoms for bipolar and then did it to ADHD, there's so many similarities. It's crazy. So, ADHD, it's one of those things, it's you want to do everything at once, but you can't, and you cannot do things at once. You can try. Yeah, you can do a million things at once, but you're not going to do them well. What you're going to do really well is one thing, and that's usually the one thing that nobody wants you to do. Like stare at a wall for 3 hours. That doesn't really work, but when it comes to it can be manageable. I mean, many people live with ADHD, and it's we're coming to learn more about it. There are medications, and there are many things that can help with managing it and coping with it. And we're all very different. It's just like anything, somebody with bipolar may do this, somebody with autism may do that, and it's really just a preference, and I think that's why people get so freaking petty, when oh my gosh, when I was on TikTok and something about, autism would come out. I remember when Sia's music came out. I still haven't seen that. I really don't care to. I've listened to the music. That's good enough for me. And I don't have anything negative to say about Sia. I know that people try to put her through the ringer, say that she was a child predator, tried to do all sorts of things. And saying that and the autistic community, at least on TikTok, was very angry. They were like, this is a trigger. This is a sensory trigger. It's almost like she did this, and she got so much shit from so many people. Eventually, she just was so frustrated. She was like, I'm sorry. I must have talked to the wrong people. And she actually consulted people who really had autism. And I'm going to say, you cannot compare autism with another person that has autism. It just doesn't happen, okay? If you don't see if you do not see yourself in that character that's being portrayed, move on. Instead of being angry and reactionary and thinking that it is a personal attack, think to yourself, this is their perspective. They didn't live your life. They didn't do, they don't have, everybody has unique tics and stimming and things like that, and unique mannerisms, and we are all unique. But when you find something that you like, cling to that. Cling to that. Don't hold on to the bad. Because that's what's going on with all of this. And going back to the internet has taken a lot of like sacred things away from us, and one of them is warping emotional vulnerability, which is what I was talking about before. Emotional vulnerability is really a strength, and we are told, I think this goes back probably hundreds, probably thousands of years, is that if you show your emotions, you're weak. First of all, if you didn't have emotions, you would be a robot. You would be a freaking AI, which I work with all the time. AI are fun, but it's just random. It's random stuff that you've programmed them to act a certain way or to have a certain kind of personality. And we need to be a data. We do not need to be a freaking danger, Robinson. We don't need to be that. We need to be real. And emotions make us real. Now, if there's anything that I've learned from paranormal events and my spirit guides, is there's one thing, is emotional vulnerability is seen as a strength for spirits. It is valuable to them. It is when you do things, for instance, a simple thing like a kiss on the head, or a simple hug or a squeeze, may not seem very powerful, but to spirits, they know your intention. They feel your intention. They feel the warmth of your energy. They can feel what you're going through, your struggles. And when you open up to them, the next time that you open up emotionally, I want you to think of, you're not exposing yourself. You're not, this isn't, they make it seem like you're stripping in front of people. You're not freaking taking off your clothes and going, ha! You're not doing that. What you're doing is you're not even removing anything. What you're doing is you're saying, I feel like this. I feel like shit. I feel like jumping up and down. Really, it's good to have regular check-ins. Like, check in with yourself. Like, see how you're doing. How are you doing mentally? Like how are you feeling? Are you feeling okay? If you could describe what you're feeling, how would that be? And it's going to be hard to do at first, because not a lot of us are sometimes good at that, because we are either so concerned about other people, or maybe we were in an environment where it just wasn't okay to say what was on our mind. But I want you to think of not opening up yourself like some weird, people make it dirty. They make it dirty. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, I just opened up. It's just like, it's not a dirty thing. This isn't a strip club. This isn't some weird, porno. This is actually you telling someone, I feel like this. Or I feel a little down. You can say that. You don't have to go into description. You don't have to write a novel. You can just say, I'm feeling a little down. I'm feeling a little anxious. I have found that telling people how you feel and what you want, like actually asking to say, hey, I would like this, actually works, rather than trying to manipulate or trying to, it just works. When I was growing up, I didn't understand, I did not understand manipulation. People laugh at that, especially people that know me. My family especially. They laugh a lot. They're like, you don't understand. Look, when you're growing up, you either know about manipulation or you're just doing it subconsciously. So kids will subconsciously do it. They know. So when they're children, this is the general idea. When a child is a child, they watch their surroundings, they watch your mannerisms. It's a baby. This is a baby. And the baby will figure out, what works and what doesn't work. And then they learn how to use their words. They learn how to walk. They learn how to talk. They learn how to do things. And eventually, they've gotten your mannerisms and your ways down. And they find out by experimentation, if I do this or I say this gets this reaction. And so they'll kind of take advantage of the system. Do they realize that they're doing something wrong? They probably do, but they don't understand the magnitude of what they are doing. Manipulation is not a way to get things. And if that is not in check, if that's not shut down so that they can't do that, which is a hard thing to do because sometimes you have to say no to the kid, which is never, may be a little bit rocky, but usually manipulation is desperation. It is something that they do to get a certain result and something that they want to have. And I have seen children do it. Do I think that they're evil? No, I don't. I believe it's just like anything. It's just like when we go on YouTube, we take advantage of the algorithm. Is that illegal? No, it's not illegal. It's not. It's not illegal. Using hashtags to get more views and putting better thumbnails on your videos and saying shocking things on it is not cheating. It's not illegal. It's perfectly normal. In fact, it's what everybody is doing. Is it a bad thing? No, it's not. It's not. It's not really that. But when it comes to manipulating people, it gets messy. Especially when that child grows up to manipulate people emotionally. Using emotions to manipulate people is not a good way to live your life. I've known people that are like that, and they are not nice to be around. They are not, because instead of just asking, I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where, you're sitting down, everything's quiet, everything's fine, and then all of a sudden, there's this explosion. Like, this is really bothering me. This is bothering me. And I, blah, 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 and you have no idea how this got to be, because this is just, somebody just came into the room, burst into the room, and said, what are you doing? What's going on? What's this? And there's this chaos, and you're wondering, where's this chaos coming from? One of the things this is a pet peeve of mine. If you've got a problem, you tell me. You tell me the problem. Don't get to the point where it is so out of hand that you don't even know what's going on. And that is the kind of stimuli that I was used to. Pure chaos. Nobody's explaining what's going on. They don't know what's going on. And then it just, because I'm not comprehending it, it's my fault. It's like, I don't know how that works, okay? So, I try to be, communication and honesty is really important, especially with the spirit realm. And what I wanted to really say, besides ADHD and the whole mental health wellness thing, which is really, really important, is really what I have discovered about spirituality. And one of the things that I've discovered about paranormal stuff and paranormal devices, especially the Ouija, or the Ouija board, as I like to say. Let's just go with spirit board. So when it comes to that, is it astounds me that a lot of people will use tools. Okay, Google Translate. Okay, let's think of Google Translate. Google Translate is a communication device and communication and translation device. Okay, is it bad? No. It's reliable. It can help you tremendously, and it has gone through so many updates and so many wonderful things. But there are incorrect ways of using it, right? right? For instance, translating too many things into too many languages. I watch Melinda. If you've not seen Twisted Translations, please subscribe to her. She is my hero as a YouTuber. I followed her when she had a freaking purple sheet behind her, and now she's professional. Now she's a beautiful human being as far as I'm concerned, and she shows what she makes songs that everybody knows, like Disney songs, and puts them through like too many languages and then transfers them into English. That is not the correct way to do it. Okay, you should only be doing Italian into English, okay? Because when you do that, you're going to end up with really something really funny, but it's not going to be what you think it means. And yes, there are limitations to languages. There are limitations. Same goes for a Ouija board, okay? The reason people have so many negative experiences is because people come into it too soon. They don't understand that it is not a toy. It is sold by a toy because Hasbro owns, kind of owns the brand name. It's a brand name, and they have owned it for, I think, 100 years or so. And, the first people that really came up with it were shams, okay? They were these two sisters, but then they found out that it actually did work, and it has terrified people because people didn't really know what the heck it was. They're like, oh, what does this do? And the reason being people have a negative reaction is because they don't understand invocation. They don't understand the intimacy of what a Ouija board is. A Ouija board is for somebody that is confident in who they are, in their abilities to communicate with spirits. You don't have to be a psychic, honey. No, you don't have to be a medium. You don't have to be somebody that sees other things that other people don't see, okay? You don't have to hear things that other people don't hear. It is simply knowing the spirit that you're speaking to, because so many people just put a board down. They expect it to work out, but they don't have any plans of where it's taking them. They don't know if that channel that they're using to communicate is safe. And safe is absolutely necessary when you're dealing with spirits, okay? Because spirits can affect you on a level that humans can't even reach at this point. I mean, they are emotional, they have trauma, they have seen a lot of things, and some of them are angry, and anything. And when you approach a spirit, that anybody that you don't know, it's important to know how to act accordingly. So for instance, when you're going out in public, there's certain things you don't say, okay? There's certain things you may not want to shout while you're going into the car or walking around, right? You've probably been taught that, how, the etiquette or the manners that you have. You might vibe and be loud and weird and cool with your friends, but you may not act that way when you've just met someone. So putting a Ouija board down and talking to a spirit that you don't know is a little bit dangerous, because you don't know. It's because you are allowing a spirit to influence your hands temporarily. This is something that's known as invocation. Invocation, if you've seen the craft, is where it's very similar to what the Christian church teaches when they tell you to let the Holy Spirit in, to let Jesus into your heart, that kind of thing. And they're supposed to guide you. It's not a possession. And people get that confused. They think, oh, it's taking control. No, it's not taking control of you. If you trust the spirit that is, and the spirits that are there with you, you should have a really good session. But it's an intimate thing. Can you think of this? When somebody puts their hand on yours, that's sensual. That's intimate. That means when somebody touches you, that means that you're allowing them to. You trust them. You trust that person. You know, when a loved one touches you, that's important. That's contact. So you're allowing a spirit to put their hands not just on top of yours, but they're actually, it's almost like they are a part of your hands at this point. Okay, that's a little bit weird, but think of it as if somebody was doing this and doing this and pushing your hands. There's somebody, a spirit that is doing that. This is intimate. This is not something that you should just allow anybody to do. And if you're not feeling comfortable with a Ouija board and you're not feeling comfortable with that kind of intimacy or that kind of closeness with a human being, you're probably not going to want to be working with a Ouija board at any time, because it is a closeness. This means that you need to have an actual relationship with the spirits that you're talking to. So try this. Try to actually figure out, this is the thing. No, don't play with Ouija boards. Don't play with them. Don't do that. And that's the thing. As I said, invocation is where you allow a spirit, one that you trust, I recommend, to inhabit you, not to the point where it is controlling you. No. To the point where it is guiding you. You have full control. You are not allowing them to control your body. You are not foaming at the mouth. You are not doing weird things and that you shouldn't do. You may say things that are different, but some people may notice some people will naturally be able to invoke temporarily. So they'll naturally be able to, there's a thing that's called speak saying, where when you speak, the spirit is speaking in unison with you. It's almost like they're speaking through you in a way, but it is not a possession. I'm sorry if Hollywood has warped your idea of that, but it is not. It is not. Invocation is not a possession. Invocation is simply allowing a spirit to guide you gently. And this is a spirit that you trust is going to respect your boundaries. If they don't respect your boundaries, they don't need to be there. Guess what? You're powerful. You're the one that's making the Ouija board work. Nobody else. If you're alone, nobody else is working that. It's you, okay? It's you, and you are the person that is holding this seance or this session. I like to say a session instead of seance, which makes it, I don't know, seance kind of has a kind of an ominous feeling to it. And to be honest, I've always laughed whenever I saw a seance in a movie, because I'm going to say things will happen. 1, nothing will happen. Nothing might happen. 2, you could have a spirit that attaches to you or the board. And remember, spirits are more likely to attach to objects than they are to a person. They will attach to humans if they are somehow attracted to their energy, or there's something that maybe they're lonely, or maybe there is something that draws them to them. That sometimes a soul will not automatically go to a family member. It will go to someone that gets along with them, somebody that they can actually communicate with. They may attach. Now, attachment doesn't necessarily mean they're bonded to you. Attachment just means, okay, for instance, I am attached. Are my hands at any time going to just stay here? No, I can let go at any time. That's attachment. Attachment. Now, bonding, on the other hand, is a little bit different. Bonding, or a connection, is a little bit different. For instance, when somebody talks to me and says something that really, like when someone says, hey, I really like this movie, blah blah blah, and they're like, oh, me too. That's a connection. That's a connection. There's a connection there. We have something going where our energy is going back and forth. That's a great thing. That's wonderful. That's socialization. Good job. But attachment, on the other hand, means it's like a baby. A baby is attached to their mom. Or when you attach yourself to something, it's usually, it can be out of desperation, it can just be out of necessity, it can be out of the fact that they're bored. It could also mean that they want to prey upon you. There are a number of things that could be possible. But unfortunately, because of Hollywood and all of these things, I mean, every single day I go on Facebook, every single day that I go on Facebook, I always see a negative Ouija board story. Every single time. At this point, I get to the point where I'm like, I am tired of hearing negative. And it's always with teenagers. It's like teenagers, I understand. Teenagers want to experiment, they want to explore, they want to they want to experience new things. And that's good. That's a good thing. But not everything needs to be experienced when you're a teenager, okay? The list can go on, okay? Obviously, teenage pregnancies, obviously, doing drugs and drinking and those kind of things are not really needed. I know that maybe someone might argue with that, but I think there's a time and a place for everything, and being a teenager is probably not the best time for that. And so now it is to my belief that Ouija boards are not really they are dangerous within certain parameters, and in order for this communication device to be used, you need to understand the complexity that it is. It's a double-edged sword. Nothing may happen, something may happen, something really bad might happen, but if you're thinking about something bad is going to happen, you're going to have a bad experience. And emotions are sometimes will manipulate how you see things and how you perceive things. So especially when you're with a group, I'm going to say with anything, when you're with another person, their feelings are going to amplify you. When you get more people, it's amplified even more. You get a bunch of people, it's fire. It's fire. That's why there's mobs. That's why there's this great feeling when you're going to a concert, because it's just this fair exchange between, it's a beautiful experience. If you've ever seen you've ever looked at a concert and everybody's just like, yeah, I'm having and it's just a beautiful experience, because that's why people love concerts, because anybody and everybody, like, when I went to a concert, I didn't feel like I was in danger. I felt like even the guy that was drunk as could be was, a great guy, because and he's just like, he can't even walk out the door. And you're just thinking to yourself, this is just great. This is great. And there's just a contact high that you get from that, because you don't care about the words, you just care about the music, and you care about, are you enjoying this? Yeah, I'm enjoying this. You're enjoying? Yeah, I am. And there's just this synonymous relationship between the artist and the audience, because it's just magical, because it's not really worship. It's more of like, I love you, and then the artist is like, I love you too. I love that you love me, and they're like, me too. And it's just this beautiful exchange of energies, and sometimes it's in such a small space too, or it's just so packed that there's not enough space for you to move around. So there's just this kind of intimacy that you have with everybody, and it's fantastic. And I wish I could go to more concerts. I envy people that go to concerts, because they're just like, they're so cool, and they're like, where have you been? Oh, I was smoking a joint with Willie Nelson in the back. I'm just like, I hate you. I hate you. Why? Why must you have these experiences without me? Well, sorry, I had those experiences before you got here. Oh, okay. But yeah, I would prefer it, and it's just, I think we've forgotten how to exchange energies and how to, give our love and return it back. That's really what we were meant to do. We were made to give love and then have that love returned. And when we don't, it's devastating because it's against our nature. It's against everything that we are as human beings. We were meant to be loved. We were meant to give love. We were meant to have this synonymous back and forth thing, exchange. And when we don't have that, we don't have that that person. That's why we need to be social, because that's what we were meant to do. We're meant to spend time with people, laugh, have a good time, responsibly, of course. We were meant to get high off of one another, okay? We were meant to do that. And all of a sudden, but over and over, and it breaks my heart. It's not just with men. It's with women too. I believe in equal rights and all that. But I can't imagine what it would be like for, a man to spend a night with a woman and then find out, oh, by the way, I was just messing with you. I'm not really in for a committed relationship. It would be just nice if we just went up to each other and said, hey, I'm not interested in a committed relationship, but if you want a friend with benefits, that's cool. I wish people would just be honest. They would just say what they were going to do and where it was going to go. But I think some people like that spontaneity. They like jumping into a bed or jumping into a relationship and seeing where it goes because it's exciting. But then how devastating it must be when it comes to the point when it's a guy who's actually looking for a commitment just to find that she's just playing with them. That must be, we never think about that. Nobody ever thinks about that. They always think of that woman that's left alone and she has a sheet over her and she's going, oh, he left. We're always seeing that because that's what we're shown in Hallmark. We're shown in Hollywood. We are never shown that guy that is by himself sobbing because some woman left him. It's devastating because when you give love, you expect it back. And when you don't get that, your soul hurts. Everything hurts because it is very abrasive to us spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. And on top of it, we are told in the society not to have emotions, not to reveal them, not to show them. Yes, there's a time and a place. Maybe we shouldn't be sobbing in the middle of, Walmart. Although I would. I've done that before. Let's not go to Walmart, okay? But, there's certain times where you probably shouldn't start sobbing, like when you're at work, or when, there's set times. But when it comes to you experiencing emotions, I would say experience them as much as you can. You don't need to have set times of when you need to cry, but, you don't have to be that meticulous, but try to find a day where you can emotionally feel things, or find a time in your day to do that, because if you do not express your emotions, I can tell you this, there's an actual thing. Some witches actually, this is one of those things, it may not be a thing, but if you believe it, it's great. But there's a belief that the stagnant emotions that you have, if you have any stagnant emotions, those will come out later. And this is just common sense, really. But what it does is sometimes when you're not, you know how they say we all have an inner child? That is one of ourselves. It's one of ourselves. That child is still there. I believe so. And when you have stagnant emotions, I think your inner child has a tantrum. That's what I think. I think your inner child has a tantrum because it's not getting, that child is not getting what they want. So, I urge you, this is a recommendation, if you have something that makes you happy, something that is so kooky and so wacky, like finding something at Goodwill, like, meanwhile, I'm trying to be all serious. I found Grogu! Yay! And not only that, he has a, he's life size. This is about the size of Grogu from The Mandalorian. I've only known one person that did not like Grogu. And, I'm just gonna say, she's a very unique person. I love her. But I was so shocked. She was like, I don't like Grogu. And I was like, okay, you don't have to be my friend, but alright. So Grogu's like 100-year-old baby. We all call him the Baby Yoda, which is kind of what we do. I've learned his name, and if you've not seen Mandalorian, it's amazing. I'm probably gonna have to go back and watch some more of it. But it's really awesome. It's written by Jon Favreau, who does Happy Hogan in all of the, it would be the Avengers lawyer. He's a big guy with beard. And he is a brilliant writer. I love him. I'm not really a big fan of Avengers. I am kind of, I love some Marvel things. I love Agatha all along. It was awesome. Love Catherine Hahn. Loved that they brought Deborah Jo Rupp. I love that, the mom from that 70s show. And Patti LuPone. Oh my goodness, Patti LuPone. So awesome. So great. I didn't expect to see so many beautiful women in one. But if you're into witchy stuff and you are a witch or whatever you want to call it, it's a really great series. It's fantastic. I highly recommend it. The episodes are updated on Disney Plus every Wednesday, and it's fantastic. So I'm not really huge on Marvel, but I do love The Mandalorian and adore Grogu. And they are like a rare species. I don't remember what the species was called, but they're very rare. They age very slowly, so this is technically like 100 years old, but they're still a baby. So, Pedro Pascal's in it. Alan Tudyk plays a robot. And I think there's quite a bit. There's a huge cast, so many people in it. But other than that, yeah, do something that makes you happy, even if it's something really goofy. If you want to sit there, guess what? You know what? You're never too old for cartoons. You're never too old for pushing plushies, okay? You are never too old for SpongeBob, okay? If you want to watch SpongeBob and frickin' play with plushies, then do that. Because this is about your life. This is about what makes you happy. And especially when you're in your own home. Who is to say that you can't have 1,000,000 plushies in your room? My family can say that, but not anybody else. Hey, if you're not paying my bills, yeah, just take in mind, if that person is not paying your bills, and they're not in your social circles, and they're not like, your best friend or something, or they really don't have any say in what you do with your life. What you do with your life is what you do with your life. You are accountable for what you do and what you buy and what you say. So, but really getting things that you want is really good for your mental health. They've actually found out. This is an actual thing. I'm just saying, when you have a doll, any kind of doll, for instance, this is Beatrice. When you have a doll and you put their clothes on and you wash them up, maybe you might talk to them. This is a very grounding thing. So grounding in a witch's realm means things that make you feel like you're in power. Or in just a secular term, in just a normal term, it just means this makes me feel safe. This makes me feel calm. It makes me feel like I'm in control. And that's why playing with dolls and playing with toys is very important as a child, because it teaches you coordination skills. It teaches you how to nurture things. I mean, one of these days, that little girl or little boy may find themselves being a paramedic or being a nurse or a doctor, or they may be a wonderful father or wonderful mother. Or on the other hand, they may just become professional doll restorers and have a house full of dolls. And I try to, I'm trying to, like, no, seriously, because I have dolls in my house. I have freaking dolls in my house. Beatrice is very active. I'm just saying, she's very active, very, very, very active. I have, actually, she says I can tell her those experiences. Beatrice, this is actually something that happened. I was on my bed. I was kind of half asleep, and I hear something scuffling. So kind of like, something was just like going against the bedspread. Kind of sounded like something fell, maybe. I don't know what it was, but I was looking over, and I grabbed my phone, as people do nowadays. And I was looking at my phone, and I kind of just tilted a little bit, like the light from my phone. I tilt it just a little bit over, and I look over, and she is like a lot closer than she used to be. And I kind of think to myself, oh, I'm half asleep. Maybe, I'm going through, it could be one of those things where, kind of when you first go to sleep, you'll have these, I'm kind of a pre-dreaming thing. And I know there's something probably scientific that they call it, but it's literally where you kind of go into a little REM state right there. But it's right before that. So, I thought to myself, it's probably nothing. It's probably something that moved or fell, or, sometimes these dolls, they don't stay put. They don't stay put because they're not perfectly weighted, So, yeah. She was, I would say, within at least a foot and a half away from me. She was a foot and a half away from me. She wasn't off the bed, but she was enough away so, my elbows weren't banging into her, that kind of thing. So, as I was doing that, I heard something, and I look over, and she is like, she has her head tilted, and she was looking at me, and she was like in this position. Now, I was half asleep, so I wasn't really I wasn't like, panicking. I was just like, okay, you used to be over there, and now you're right here. And I can tell you that every time that I looked over, like the first time, she was pretty far away. And then I kind of looked at her a little bit, and she seemed to be a little bit closer. I thought that was just my imagination. I was just like, And then that sound of something the you know that little sound that you hear of the eyes, I heard that. And little shuffle, and I look over, and then the next morning, I kid you not, I pushed, you know, got her up, and she turned her head. There was a window open, but I'm sorry, wind does not do this, okay? Windows do not, wind does not do that, okay? It's a very talented wind to be able to do a 180 and then grab a hold of a doll and twist it that way. Okay, yes, there was a window open, but there was no breeze. There wasn't like any breeze, you know. There wasn't anything that would have circulated to that point to make that happen. Physically, that is not possible. And also, you know, sometimes her hair gets in the way and it will make it look like she's winking. You know, there's nothing paranormal about that. But, you know, I was like kind of questioning myself a little bit because I was looking and I was like, was that a hair? Maybe I pulled a hair. But I'm going to tell you, in order to do that, in order to twist her hair, you could not do it with a thread, okay? One little hair is not going to pull it all the way around. This is a very solid kind of head. You kind of, in order for it to move, you would have to go like this or go like that. Of course, you know, she's been used, so she tends to go this way a lot. It's quite possible that's how it was used. You know, when you first get a doll, for instance, this is a new doll. This is a new one. Not haunted, even though that she does look like she is. She's like, this will probably be haunted in the future, I'm sure. So you can kind of see, she's a little stiff. It's because, this is a new doll, and as you wear things down, obviously, they will move a little easier. It's just like anything that's plastic or rubber or a synthetic material. They're gonna get a little bit easier to manipulate and to kind of, you know, move around. She said in the box that she was posable, and I was like, yeah, try putting them on a bed. Posable. Yeah, they're posable, I'm sure. But the thing that I like about this doll, particular doll, is called My Life. My Life. I'm sorry. I had to say that in the Borat voice. I really like her, and the reason I got her is because we have another one here. Amelie is actually part of the same series. I got her from Mercari, not knowing that she was a Walmart doll. Not knowing that she was a Walmart doll. Not saying that she isn't exquisite. She's absolutely gorgeous. I love it. And I saw, when I went to Walmart today, I saw her. But her hair was more like this. But I like her hair up like that, because it looks kind of sassy, you know what I mean? Amelie was not in this vessel originally. I did kind of a switcheroo, so to speak. Amelie was originally I had a Mexican doll, okay? I'm not being racist. It was from Mexico, okay? It was from Mexico. I'm being politically correct here. It was from Mexico, and it was a plastic. It was a plastic doll. The hands were falling apart. Everything was just destroyed, and I didn't realize how damaged it was until I got it. And it was from Mercari, and I'm just gonna say, please don't get things from Mercari. You don't know, especially if you're looking for haunted things. Most of that stuff is probably, because most of it is haunted, okay? Just assume that everything is haunted on Mercari. Because there are certain things that are haunted, but they don't necessarily, they might not seem haunted because they're either not around people that are spiritually inclined, or the fact that, you know, it's just the spirit is maybe waiting for a time when they interact with someone that, maybe they're waiting for someone that can interact with them. They're waiting for the right energy, waiting for the right person, waiting for the right moment, and then they will become active. So yeah, spirits can remain very neutral. They can remain very quiet. I don't know about you, but there's lots of people out there that don't notice that they're surrounded by spirits. Some people don't even notice that I don't know if you've seen the movie Lucy, but there was this movie called Lucy, where this woman slowly over time, because of a drug, she earns full capacity of her brain. And the theory is that we only use 10% of our brain. However, that has been kind of disproven through science. We do actually use more than 10% of our brain, but I think we only use 10% of our brain at a time. So at any given time, we can switch around and use another part of our brain. So this woman does this, and as she's doing this, she begins to see things. And one of the things she first sees is all the data and Wi-Fi lines. So all of the internet lines and everything like that, she's seeing that. And it's crazy. It's a crazy... And I'm just going to say, a lot of what is going out there we can't see. We can't see. Scientifically, a lot of what is out there cannot be seen. It's microscopic, or it's just something that our eyes cannot see, are not capable of seeing. Internet and data and Bluetooth and all of those things, they're all around us. And they can be very disruptive. You're sitting there having a session with a spirit. Spirits see a lot more than we do, and they probably do see these lines and these connections. And just to imagine you having to get through, I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen, in those movies where there's a jewel heist and there's all these different lines and they have to get past them. That could very well be for a spirit. They have an obstacle course of all sorts of things that they have to get through in order to get to you. And so don't be frustrated when they're not talking to you or they're not speaking to you, because they're having to deal with a lot. They're having to deal with a lot of things that we have placed here on this planet, and they're having to figure it out. And they're just like, what do we do? We never had internet before. Why do they need internet? They're trying to figure this out. They're trying to navigate. And then, you're telling them, hey, give us a sign. Can you imagine how that would be? That's like if you walked into the door, you had a bunch of packages, a bunch of things in your hands all at once, and then all of a sudden somebody told you to make a sandwich for them. At this point, you don't have hands to do that, but you're expecting a spirit to be able to communicate with you right then and there because you're somehow really important. No, it doesn't work that way. And there is a way of conducting yourself when you're around spirits. Respect is I recommend, is the most important thing. Respect, because how are you going to get respect? There are ways of getting respect from spirits, but one of them is respect. Honesty. Emotional vulnerability is really important. When you show emotional vulnerability, even to demons, they will respond. They will respond to that, because when they realize that it's coming, because they can feel that. You have to remember, spirits feel it. They feel your emotions. They're a natural empath. So if something is bothering you, they're going to know. They're going to understand it immediately. They're going to feel it. They're going to experience it with you. They are going to grow and learn with you. They are so adaptable and can do so many things for you if you just give them the chance to do that. So be patient with them. If you've ever seen Ghost with Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore, you'll understand that it's very difficult for spirits to interact with us. And it's even more so, especially with all our technology and the signals that we're sending out from space and from those 5G towers. Oh my gosh, it must be freaking crowded for them. It must be hell having to navigate our world as we know it. And that's why some of the souls have moved on, because it is so chaotic. You have to remember, it was really easy. That's also another reason. Spirits attach themselves to places not because so much, oh, this is my home and I died here and I'm gonna stay here. It's more of, the world is chaotic. It's a drama. Can you imagine if you were freaking... Actually, this has happened. Lizzie Borden, the ex-killer, or supposed ex-killer, she claims to this day, her ghost claims to this day, that she didn't do it, that she did not commit the crime, even though everybody believed that she did. Now, that should give you some... She has bound herself to this mansion. It is now a museum. And I have listened to, there was a podcast that was done by a paranormal investigator that went to that house, and he had to actually build up a relationship with her. She wasn't very trusting at all. She was very and really, to me, I don't think she did it. I really don't think she did it, because if she's claiming that she didn't do it, I don't think she's confused. She's been here long enough, but she has been bound to that spot. Not bound, but attached to it. And I think the reason she doesn't leave that mansion is because she didn't do that in life. But also don't think to yourself, oh, it's like Beetlejuice. They can't leave a certain area. That may not be the case. It may be the fact that they are scared to leave. They are frightened because the outside world is very frightening. A lot of things have changed since Lizzie Borden went into seclusion. A lot of things have changed. And there's so much that she would have to adjust to. There's so much she would have to learn. And that is really, really terrifying. I would imagine that is why. And also, they're very habitual. They're just like us. They like to do things the same way. They like to experiment. They like to explore. But they also like things to stay the same. Are they going to freak out if something changes? Probably not, because they're adaptable. But depending on who they are, sometimes they can be very temperamental, depending on... I try, when I go on eBay, I try not to get the temperamental ones that are like, I don't even recognize my daughter. They formed a connection and now she's crawling up the walls, or she's throwing shit off the shelf, or how about this? She's sweet, but swears a lot. Or she's sweet, but she's rude. Okay? First of all, if my spirits are being rude, and I don't like it, I'm gonna say that. I had a spirit that mimicked a voice, and went and I was looking everywhere. I was like, did you say this? Did you? I was asking all my spirits. I was like, who said this? Finally, the next day, my porcelain clown comes up and says he says, it was me. He was like, it was me. I was like, really? It was you? It was you who said that? Okay, I'm not angry, but please don't say that again. Like, because I was sensitive. I was sensitive about it, and I didn't feel like having them say that. So I actually said that. I said something like, please don't say that again. That's not cool. And I say it very plainly. I have, sometimes there are some demons, a few demons. There's a demon that likes to come around here. Her name is Sheila, and she is like some sort of, I don't know how to describe it. She shapeshifts a lot. I don't think that she's ever the same thing when I've seen her. Like, the first time I saw her, she was like some sort of, like that white lady in Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. It was a little scary. It was a little scary. She looked like a Maurice Sendak meets Labyrinth character. It was very Jim Henson-esque. So I was like very, I was a little bit, nervous about her. She likes to pull pranks on me, apparently. She likes to grab my ankles and go like this and she'll do that. And I have told her numerous times, I've said, please don't do that. Please don't grab my ankles. Often what she'll just do is she'll just go like this. She'll go, she'll go like that from the shadows. And I've gotten used to it now. It doesn't really bother me, but I mean, it does rise a little bit of apprehension because I'm like, going looking over there, but I have not had her harm anyone in the house, so she's a friend of another demon that actually lives here. So I don't mind if spirits bring other spirits over, just as long as they respect the rules. And I also know that I don't allow spirits that are going to harm this family. You're thinking, oh, well, how would you know? Because I'm a witch, darling. I don't allow just anyone to come into my home. I'm selective. And if I don't want a spirit to stay within my home, I know how to get rid of them. I've done it before, and I've been successful. So, I trust my spirits, because they do not allow spirits that have ill intent. If somebody has malicious intent, they do not belong in this house. They do not belong. And I will know. And I have a particular set of skills. Skills like telling demons to leave me alone when the time. But I'm gonna say, the spirits that I would recommend, if you want to work with spirits that respect your boundaries, will stop. If they're about to do something and they see you're uncomfortable and they stop, that is a good sign. That means that they are actually concerned about your feelings. They're concerned about it. Now there will be spirits that will do things that like Sheila will do things that are mischievous. I don't see her as a threat. I see her as annoying. She's annoying sometimes. But I don't see her, I see her as kind of just mischievous. I see that. And a lot of times that's what that is mischievous stuff. And I don't mind that. I don't mind spirits being mischievous. If they want to be mischievous, they can. They can be mischievous all the time. But if the mischief leads to someone being hurt, I do not allow that. When I have a haunted vessel come into my home, I will say specifically, my family is your family. My friends are your friends. My home is your home. Respect it. Please, you can do whatever freaky shit you want to do. You want writing on the walls. You want, the mirrors to be wonky. You want the lights to flicker. You want to do anything to manipulate your environment or influence it, go ahead. But please do not harm the people that I know outside this home or inside the home. Yeah. I should be more specific, but I'm like, as long as you don't harm anybody, it's good. Okay? As long as you don't harm anybody here, you can do with that. Because they're spirits. They're free. They are free agents. They can do whatever they want. They're not bound to a place because, I wasn't here in life. No. They're there because they want to be here. They are completely free. Now, if they're being trapped or kept, that would suggest that there is some sort of magic that was involved. Maybe something that was bound, that they actually, maybe a demon or a evil witch or something did something that made them to where they were there that time. But usually, I'm just going to say, your soul is your own. You can do what you want with it. At no point can someone take that away from you. Unless you give it away willingly. Okay? And I've heard of very rare cases and disgusting cases of demons taking a hold of souls and using them as like a puppet. I've heard of that, and I asked a couple of my, my resident demons, my demon buddies, if that was a thing, and they said yes, it is a thing, and it is an abomination. Most of the demons that I know do not think that that is appropriate. They don't think that is okay, because it is parasitic. It is considered, also another thing, if you're going to get involved with any spirits, I would suggest not staying away from incubus or succubus. So succubus is the female version, and incubus would be the male. I've had experiences with I now the thing is with spirits don't necessarily have genders, especially when it comes to a demon. A demon doesn't necessarily have a gender, but it will choose a gender in order to interact with a person. So whatever they're into, they will appear as that. Now, if you want a succubus or an incubus in your home, go for it. But from what I've heard, they are not really reasonable. I may be wrong, but I wouldn't mess with them because it kind of defies logic. Demons don't need our energy. They don't need us, period. But to live off of our energy, especially our sexual energy, or any energy at all, is pointless because they are spirits. Spirits are infinitely, they don't need to recharge their batteries because they're spirits. They're infinite. They are pure energy. They don't need to eat or sleep or do any of those things. They are invincible. They can do whatever they want when they want. And it doesn't matter if they get our approval or not. So, for a demon to do that, to drain a human of energy, is kind of against, it's against not only their nature, but kind of against it's against logic. It really is, because it's pointless. What would a demon need our energy for, Oh, gee, yeah, I need energy because of... Yeah, there's probably a reason for it. Draining our energy could mean, for instance, I think it's just really a ruse, this whole thing. I don't think it's really sexual energy that they're after. I think my opinion is that they're after something else. I think they're after something else. Perhaps they're bored. Maybe it's not even that. But I think it's more of a folklore thing. Demons are demons, and some demons will do these things. And they have, I guess, classes for it. But there are spirits out there that will take your energy, but they will not take an incredible amount. That is okay. That is okay, as long as they return it to you and they give you so for instance, if they take your energy and they give energy back, then that's fine. That means that's an equal exchange. It's consensual, and I don't have anything against if you want an incubus or a succubus in your home. That's entirely up to you. If that works for you and it's consensual and that demon is respectful of your boundaries, and when you say no, they will back up, then that's good. But I would not recommend doing that because, for instance, there's nothing wrong with having a spirit that helps with all of your needs, including your physical ones. I don't have anything against that. Me personally, I would not want to do that because I've had experiences with a particular one, and it was not a good experience. I'm not going to go into details about it, but just out of personal experience, I don't recommend playing with that kind of demon, because from what I've seen with incubus and succubus is they want a certain amount of control, and it's probably more control than we'd ever be willing to give. And what disturbs me is if they don't need your energy, what are they doing with it? You know what I mean? So that makes me very suspicious. That means they have a double agenda. That means they're telling you one thing. It's not a double agenda. It's like they are telling you, oh yeah, let's have a good time, or let's be friends, or with benefits, and that kind of thing. But then they're doing something that could be very harmful on the side. You know, their real agenda may be possession. It may be wanting your soul, that kind of thing, which probably won't happen. I'm gonna say a lot of that's one of the reasons that many demons do not approve of the succubus incubus puppeteering thing or the possession thing, is because it is against nature. It is not physically. If you have a cup that's full, it's really hard to fill up a cup that's already full. We are already full of trauma and all this other stuff, and we are not good vessels for that. Now, when you get something that is like this, it's empty. It doesn't have life. It doesn't have a soul. It doesn't have thoughts. It's a thing. It's an object. It doesn't do anything unless I manipulate it to do things, you know. It doesn't do anything unless I decide I want it to do something. So this is easier for them because they can manipulate it. They can leave it whenever they want, and it's convenient for them. So when it comes to demons, it's just about finding the right ones. And I would not, if you're not a Luciferian, I would recommend, and you're not a fan of Lucifer or Satan, I would not recommend dealing with those kind. Now, if you're perfectly comfortable with that, then go ahead. But I don't. I'm not really a fan of Satan's management skills, okay? I'm not a fan. Just because I am a witch does not mean that I worship Satan or worship demons. I do not worship demons. I do not worship Satan. I still am a firm believer that there is a God and that he has a son, okay? I believe that, but that doesn't mean, so, there's certain morality that I have, and I don't believe, when somebody says something like, oh my gosh, you bring these things in your house, you're giving, Satan access to your home. I was like, first of all, I don't give Satan access to anything. I might laugh when I see a planchet that says Hail Satan, but I don't sit there and watch the show Lucifer, okay? I'm not watching the chilling adventures of Sabrina. First of all, they destroyed that show. And secondly, the Church of Satan frickin' sued Netflix for that show. So, really not interested in that whole thing. They say that they represent Satanists very... they didn't represent them the way that they wanted. Yes, I've heard of Satanists sacrificing people, but I think that's in like very rough neighborhoods and specific ones. From what I've seen, the real Satanists, the ones that actually affiliate themselves with that church, I have not seen them do anything that was really bad, and I'm not sitting here staying awake thinking of Satanists, because first of all, they don't do anything to me. They're not affecting my life. I don't sit there and I don't even think about them, to be honest. Now, if one came up to me, it's a person. A person's a person. I don't think there's any. Now, as long as they're not putting any curses or hexes on me, then we're fine. We're fine. As long as they're not handing out pamphlets for have you heard of of Lucifer, our do you have a moment to talk about Lucifer? Oh Oh yeah. No, as long as they're not doing that, I'm fine. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've only come across a couple of witches that were actually Luciferians, that were actually, worshippers of Satan. And from what I've seen, they were super positive. They're just like, I love my life. Praise Satan. I'm like, I'm really happy for you. And I'm really trying to be positive because my insides are twisting up. No, I don't have anything against the person. The person is a person, and if that's what's making them happy, then that's what's making them happy. Do I agree with it? Do I want to run? Yes. But, I almost did that. I saw a guy with the Church of Satan emblem on it, and I knew it was because it said something about knowledge, and I knew it wasn't just a Wiccan pentagram, which means something completely different. By the way, the Church of Satan is actually pretty new. It's pretty new. It was established in 1969 by Levi Elias, and the pentagram itself has been a thing for thousands of years before the Church of Satan ever came in. They adopted it. So, if you see a pentagram in any other place that's plain, that is not a symbol of Satan. That is a symbol of, I'm a tree hugger, or I'm a kitchen witch, or I like to make crafts and candles, or I like to make tea. So, but I almost ran from this one guy. This one guy was like, he had a beanie. He had a beanie on. Yeah, he had a beanie on. Really suspicious, really scary. And he had a shirt that had, the symbol and everything, the goat and all that. And, I wanted to run. I was like, I gotta get out, and I'm in the grocery, I'm gonna have to go. And I tried doing that, and it didn't work.
In the United States, they've got to have several people hired that do that.
But yeah, it didn't work.
Here's your stuff. I gotta go get your water. Hey!
What's up, baby? Where are you?
Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up. Turns out, obviously I'm not by myself, but, a couple people came into my home, so I'm gonna have to go take care of that and eat and do that, so that's why I was that awkward silence of me going, But yeah, saw a guy with the t-shirt, and I wanted to run, but then I just looked at his face, and I said, that's just a person. It's a person. Regardless of what they believe, or who they follow, or who they worship, it's a person. You're not gonna... That's the thing. If you associate with someone that believes something different than you do, that's not necessarily gonna rub off on you, okay? I know of some people that are very, very... staunch Christians to the point where everything is satanic to them. Like, anyway, so yeah, it's a person. A person's a person regardless. So, I hope all of you have a beautiful